What is up, my ninjas? I am back finally with another review. Initially, I had intended to review just Red Buster, but and it's an awesome figure, and I will be reviewing him. But he managed to show up, and shortly afterwards, these other guys showed up. So I figured, guess what? I'm gonna put all this shit together, and it's gonna be a smorgasbord of SH Figuarts. And a little preview of some of the other stuff that I've picked up in the last couple days that I will be reviewing for your reviewing and viewing pleasure. So first off, I'm just going to let you guys know I only had 3 other SH Figuarts, 2 of which were Fies, and the other one who is Shinken Redo. So now that I have 6, there's some things that I've come to expect from SH Figuarts that I will be pointing out that are present on the figures that I have so far and on these. So that's kind of what my comparisons will be based on. I'm gonna start off with none other than Akiba Yellow, because Akiba Yellow was kind of important, being that I had recently come across the Akiba Ranger and I loved it. I did a review on the series and Season 2 is out. So first off, everything that you see, everything that was awesome about Akiba Yellow in the series, everything design-wise, it's all present. Every last piece of it is present right here. I dig everything that I've seen. In the background, you'll see these are the other figures that, except for these 3. These are all the figures that I'm going to be reviewing in the next, couple days or such. Because, like I said, I've come across a whole bunch of stuff before and after getting her. But anyway, everything that you've seen in the show, from the Z-Kun to the symbol on her head, to the unofficial decal on her chest, to those cool boots, everything is here. And it's like they didn't spare any expense when it came to just design-wise, came to recreating these characters. The articulation is all right. I like the basic stuff. I do have an issue with her, and I'm going to get to that one fairly soon, but everything is here. Like you can see on her chest, she's got the decal, she's got the belt, she's got the 2 little things on the sides, which I don't know exactly what they're supposed to do. That kind of bothers me. But she's got the double jointed elbows like you've come to expect from SH Figuarts, double jointed knees. She's got the double jointed hip with the ball socket joint that actually, it's a hinge and then the ball and then the socket, so it can move up and down so that you can achieve kind of contrapposto-y kind of poses where you kind of shift your weight from one hip to the next. So you get that whole sachet looking thing, which works perfectly for a girl wearing a skirt, looking all, sassy and cool. I just dig SH Figuarts posability in general. Now, my gripe with her has to do with her construction. Her head just pops right the fuck off. And I've never had that happen with any of my SH Figuarts, so it's really strange to come across one that has that kind of a defect. I saw other reviews and it seemed to be something across the board. Now, considering that at first this figure was like $30, I would have been really pissed, but I got mine for $18, including shipping from Japan on Hobby Link Japan, so I'm not complaining. But she's a well-done figure. Just about everything that you've come to expect is there. I hate the fact, though, that her shoulders, the shoulder pads hinder their articulation, but that's probably the only hindrance as far as articulation goes. The paint details are awesome. The sculpt details are awesome. They're Sentai characters, very simple in terms of detail, and Akiba Rangers are kind of high on the detail side because they have a lot of small details that make up the design that sets them apart from the official Sentai teams, So, all in all, this figure is fairly well done. She has, a decent amount of accessories because she has the gun, of course, her Momo Z-Kun. She has her scarf, which I'm going to show you about the scarf. These are the other scarves she came with, the extra hands. You can plug all the scarves in on her back. She has like a peg, and you just pop the scarf on top of that peg, and you can swivel it, move it all around, and all that good stuff. And those two holes on the back are for the penultimate power weapons that come from, you know, Akiba Red, and there's one I think that comes with Akiba Blue. You can plug those in right there. But all in all, like I said, she's a decent figure. There's a lot of little things, but most of the appreciation for this figure would come from your love for the show. So if you like the show and you like her character, which for me her character was okay, I like her better with Akagi because the two of them are the biggest dorks in the show, so it works. So if you like Yumaria's character, then this will work for you. You'll be able to forgive the things that are kind of annoying. As far as the headpiece issue, you could glue the head, the base of the neck joint into the body of the, you know, of Akiba Yellow. Because if you look at their the neck joints, which I'll show you a little bit closer, so forgive me, I'm trying to kind of set up what I'm thinking. If you glue the neck piece in there, you'll actually be able to kind of keep her head a little bit more stable, and you wouldn't lose any, what am I trying to say? You wouldn't lose any posability as far as the neck goes. I'm fucking up my own shit, man. And I complain about that in other videos, man. I guess that's what happens when you got big hands. But you could always glue the base of the neck, because it's a three-piece, well, it's two pieces. It's a neck piece and the head piece, and you've got two ball joints, one in the top of the head and one in the neck of, you know, the base of the neck. So you can move the head independently of the neck piece, and then you also get more movement by moving the neck piece. So if you were to glue the neck piece in, you would still have movement with the top portion of her head. So I don't know, I'm gonna try and see if I can pull off something like that to make this work better. But like I said, if that bothers you, which if I had known about that before I bought the figure as soon as I found out how cheap I could get her. Now if I had known about that beforehand, I would have probably just left this figure alone. But I had to, you know, I had to get the figure because I want to finish the team, and I'm going to finish the team. Like I said, I got those three kind of relatively close to one another, but you know, she's worth it. So, you know, give her a look if you think she's cool, and check out some of these poses and stuff that I did. I decided with this review I was gonna kind of mix it up so that you guys could get, you know, the best of both worlds. You know, get some of my photography as well as some of the real-time, you know, information. But, you know, as you can see, you don't lose anything from her posability. I mean, a couple times her freaking head will pop off while you're posing her, but for the most part, you'll be able to just pose her and just, you know, marvel at how badass this figure looks. Because, you know, you gotta admit, for a Sentai female, these costumes are pretty badass. I mean, that's what made me kind of pay attention. It's like a marrying of the Kamen Rider style armor with the Sentai tights-based costumes, and I dig it. You know, I think it works. There's really not too much else to say. Now her opponent here This is a figure I was waiting for a long time. This is none other than Kamen Rider Taiga from Kamen Rider Ryuki. I was not a fan of Ryuki, but I love the designs. This was one of the times where I saw these costumes before I ever saw the show, and this character kind of appealed to me from the giddy up. I mean, that's more badass than Wolverine easily. I don't care if people say, oh, it's like Power Rangers because he's got a helmet and armor. No, because the Power Rangers don't actually look like that. So if you look closely, you can clearly see that is pure badassitude made in figure form. And I'm loving it. This guy cost me about $40 including shipping. He is pretty badass. I mean, the character was kind of raw in Kamen Rider Ryuki and in Dragon Knight, but I just think it all lends itself to the design and the character. You know what I'm saying? This is what the character was supposed to embody. Kind of ferocity and tenacity of a tiger, essentially. There were no slop anywhere. There was no slop anywhere. No breakage. I mean, there are a lot of small parts on this guy, and I'm going to get to all of them. But I mean, look at that. That right there, whatever he wants. If he came at me with those, whatever you want, you can have it. Because I'm not going to die at the end of those things. Nope. No way. Anyway, paint apps are amazing. No slop anywhere, like I said earlier. And there's so many little details. I mean, on his belt, all over parts of the armor, on every single weapon, there's like some little thing. Even the cards, there are cards in that belt, and I'm going to show you those in a little bit. All that shit is present, and the details are present, and they're well done, and you can't really complain. Things like, you see how there's that little gold spot in between, the gold stripe in between his armor on the blaster mode? Things like that, you never have issues with that on SH Figuarts. And I mean, they usually have simpler designs, especially on the Sentai ones. But the Kamen Rider guys are a little bit more complicated, and, you know, I'll give Marvel their props, so they've been getting better. But it still doesn't compare to what, you know, the greatness that is SH Figuarts, and I have to give them props. I don't know much about what the Figma version is like. I know they're smaller, but I do know that, you know, many of these many of the details that make this awesome are present on that figure too, but I think this one is just way better. I like that the shoulder pads don't hinder his arm movement. That's awesome. It seems like the shoulder pads are on a separate joint or separate peg of some sort. There are those little claw pieces on the shoulder pads themselves, and they're articulated as well. You can move them out of the way when he moves his arms, or you could pop them out altogether. They're on ball joints, which is pretty nice. I wish that they were a little bit more secure. I'm not going to pull them off now, but, you know. And then there's these little peg things. When you put those claw hand guard things on his hands, you got to remove these little pegs. Now here's all the stuff he comes with. You can see the axe, and this is what I was talking about earlier, the hand for the cards. Almost all of the Kamen Riders from Ryuki come with a hand that can hold those tiny little cards, and you have got to give them props for that. Also, the axe. I got to show you that the axe has the ability to actually open up so he can put his cards in them, and you can call it a day. I was surprised. I'm like, wow, really? They actually went that far. I mean, I shouldn't be surprised because this is SH Figuarts and this is what they do, but it surprised me. And it's a fairly sturdy weapon. I mean, I wouldn't go trying to relive any of the scenes from the movie with him using that axe because it's not as sturdy as stuff we get here with our figures. You know, when you're playing with your Ninja Turtles and whatnot, their weapons won't break easily. These weapons will. Strangely enough, though, I have been cut by his claws. So anyway, you see the little peg on the inside of his forearm? Those have, there is a, you see these things on his belt? There's a similar peg like that you can put on there, and you can remove it. A couple of the riders have it. Torque or what is his name? Whatever. But that guy, the guy with the gun, he has it. The green guy with the guns. He has several of them that you have to remove. And I think one of the Ryukis actually has, one version of Ryuki has it too. But all in all, oh, they don't tell you about that in the instructions, so just beware. But all in all, like I said before, I mean, this is just pure badass. It's just badass. All of his fingers, those bladed fingers, every single one of them are, articulate. You can move them. And they're on just ball socket joints, so if you move them too hard, they'll pop off. The belt itself actually opens up to reveal a deck of cards. I think there's about 2 or 3 of them. I just pushed them all in there and tried to see if it would close, and it worked. All of the Ryuki riders have this feature, and you got to give them props for that. That alone is reason for this figure to cost $30. We never see that kind of stuff here with our figures. Usually you get some aspect of it and that's it. Forgive me for focusing on my hand, but I'm trying to do this stuff in camera so you guys see exactly what I'm talking about. He just is a well-designed character, and considering that all of the characters from Ryuki had to have a similar base and then have a gimmick that separates them from the others, I have to give the designers props for this design. And then to see it carried over in figure form, where it seems like every little detail was paid attention to and the form all followed the functions, I have to give them props. This is something you don't always see in a release from, with most modern toy lines. And I have to say I'm impressed in this case. So props to Bandai for this one. Shit like this is why I'm moving from collecting American figures to just strictly collecting Japanese figures. I mean, I'm not going to just get anything, but I'm going to get a lot of it. But I'm just impressed at the level of detail and fluidity of motion, even with all the shit that's on this guy. Those big old shoulder pads, the giant bladed hands, or blade shield hands or whatever. It boggles my mind that this company can figure out a way to use ball socket joints for just about every single joint on the character, but other companies have problems with that. Other companies can't figure out a way to engineer their toys to have proper articulation that matches the look of the figure as well as functionality, with all of the gear and parts that are present on the figure. So, when I see it, I'm going to geek out a little bit, because that's the kind of shit that makes me happy. And in this day and age where things are so expensive, this is the kind of, I want to say this is the medium, the mid-ground that we need to be getting to. Because it makes no sense for us to always be paying more money and getting less product, worse quality, less quality. We need to be getting same quality or more for this this higher price. You know what I'm saying? And SH Figuarts have been around for a while, and this is kind of explaining to you why they've been around for so long. So, that's pretty much it for Taiga. I didn't have the money, and I probably will never buy one of the contract monsters because those things are well overpriced, and I'm not that hungry for that kind of shit right now. But there are contract monsters for all of the Ryuki riders, and they work pretty well from what I've seen. But anyway, this has been my review on Kamen Rider Taiga. I'm going to move on to the final person in my review, which is none other than Red Buster himself. Like I said, he was the first one I picked up, and in between opening him and reviewing him, I got all these other guys that I wanted to review. So I'm going to go into detail about why he's worth anything. I like this guy. I always dug the whole team's whole gimmick of being a special ops Sentai. I dig their look, I dig their gimmicks, I dig their weapons. I hate the theme song, and this is one of the ones that I was kind of hoping that the US would redo. because they kind of tried to emulate or take things from the US version of Power Rangers, you know, like Morphin Time and all that shit, and it just sounds stupid hearing a guy speak English and say some of that shit, like, let's morphin. No. You know what I'm saying? Let's driving. No. It's funny as fuck, but it's just not how it works. But anyway, despite those colloquial differences, I still dig the design. Now, unlike the Akiba Rangers, Red Buster and the rest of them, they don't have issues raising their arms all the way up because they don't have shoulder pads, you know what I mean? He actually has freedom to do that all the way, you know? No issues there. The biggest issue I have with him is the fact that the rest of his team cost hundreds of dollars. I don't understand why Bandai feels the need to rape its customers, you know? They're both, I think the Yellow Buster and Blue Buster are both Tamashii Web exclusives, and they come with extra stuff, so they're extra expensive, and that pisses me off. Because, you know, I like Japanese figures, and if there were a place close by, I would buy them here, you know, and just pay whatever the store is asking, as opposed to having them imported and go through all that extra shit. But whatever. Now, there are tons of details on this figure. One of the bigger issues I have with him is, and I said the only one earlier was the availability, but the issue I have is on the Kamen Riders with all their armor, their hands or arms can come in closer. The way that they sculpted this guy's chest, that what you see right there is as close as his arms can get. I mean, look at Fies over here. Look at how far back he's reaching, you know? And he can't do it, so he can't brace his arm, you know, his little pose from the show, which is kind of lame. And he doesn't also have the extra joint that they have on their hips, on his shoulders, to make up for it, so that you could just like kind of extend his shoulder a little bit so that he can reach out more. You can't do that. So if there were anything I could switch and fix with him to make him a little bit more poseable, I would have re-sculpted the shoulder or pectoral area to allow for a better range of movement for his arms. As far as his weapons go, he comes with almost everything you've seen them use in the show, which is pretty awesome. I was impressed because at first I thought, you know, you're gonna have to put all this stuff together, but they sculpted everything separately. So you have their guns, you have their cannon mode, you have the knife mode. It's just really nice. But the only thing you don't have is the individual cameras, because you're not getting the toy in its, you know, you're not getting the character in his unmorphed mode. So I don't really have too much to go into detail about with this guy. It's just pretty much in the same tradition of all the other SH Figuarts figures. You get everything that you see them use on the show. You get your cool figure, very posable, very nice paint, simple paint, but very nice, very well done paint, and decent articulation. You know, it's not as good as the Kamen Rider figures. He doesn't feel as sturdy, he feels a little light, which is something I told you when I did the Shinken Redo review, but everything is there. So I can't really complain too much about him. I think that fans of the show, which I know they exist, even though people bitch and moan about the show a lot, fans of the show will enjoy this figure to no end. People like me who are fans of the design more will enjoy the figure based on the design, and he'll look cool being, you know, displayed with all the rest of our stuff. So as far as I'm concerned, this figure is a win. Be aware of the fact that his posability is different, and like you can see right here on his shoulder, which has been like a reoccurring issue with the Sentai based figures, just like him with the weird shoulders in there, he's got the gap. You know, you can't really, they're not covering it up. They didn't use a big enough ball socket joint or ball socket shoulder to cover up that gap. So if things like that piss you off, you might want to ignore this figure. But I like him despite his shortcomings. So I don't know. I say you pick him up if you get a chance. You know, you might like him. So all in all, these were some fun figures that I managed to come across, and I'm glad I got them. They're not all without their faults. Taiga is definitely the strongest of the bunch. If you dig what you've seen here, go out and get yours. I mean, there's a couple places to go find them. Hobby Link Japan has some good sales every now and then. Hobby Search also has some good sales every now and then. And then, of course, there's Amazon and eBay. There's really not much else to it, you know? So I'm glad you guys stuck with me through this. I had a whole bunch of stuff to talk to you guys about. I've got a couple more reviews coming up with the stuff you saw in the background, which includes the Man of Steel and Iron Man 3 stuff. And I don't know, just stay tuned for those. So thanks for watching, and I'm Strident, and peace outside.